If you're watching the video version, one, yes, I dyed my hair. It's blonde. It looks beautiful. And two, I'm at an Airbnb, so this scene is different. I got a little setup. It's pretty cute, but I wanted to start dropping videos on Monday now because I did a poll and Monday was like the day that came back. Like, yeah, drop Monday. And so here I am dropping on Monday, and I'll drop every Monday from now on. But this week, I'm going to get right into it because I'm already on vacation. So let's just light them up. Is about gender roles or lack thereof. And I feel like this is one of those podcasts that you have to send to your partner if you're like experiencing this and you're like, wait, I don't know how to articulate it. Or even if your couple is doing what I'm about to talk about, but you feel like it's in a sexist way. So like, I'm going to go over gender roles or lack thereof. And even if you feel like you have a good working relationship with your partner in this like facet, but it's like in a sexist way. So what I mean by that is like, we're already doing what you're suggesting, Ricky, but we're doing it because I'm a woman and my husband thinks I'm useless. Like if it's in that way, like at least you can send this to him for some like background, like, hey, this is how you make me feel. This is how I'd rather us conversate about this. Or if you're like, you know, someone that's an avid believer of gender roles, or even yourself, if you're an avid believer of gender roles, like I encourage you to listen because what I'm about to say is my hot take on it. And maybe it's exactly the same as what yours is. And maybe you're going to listen to this and be like, Ricky, that's literally what everybody thinks. But I don't know. I think it's worth talking about. So we'll get right into it. First things first, I'm not a gender role person. And this is probably stemming from the fact that I had a single mom. And if you had a single parent, you probably look at gender roles as like a what? Like I watched my dad do everything, or it wasn't me. I didn't watch my dad do anything. I've never met him, but I watched my mom do everything, right? So was my mom, let's give it like a cliche gender role. All men should change brakes on a car and change oil, right? Was my mom teaching me how to do that? No, because my mom didn't know how to do that. Probably from predisposed gender, like from prior gender roles, no one taught my mom how to do that because it was a man's job, right? Quotations hard. But my mom taught me how to do everything. So like anything you may gain from a father, I definitely didn't because I only had my mom. And so already when I look at gender roles, I'm like, kind of doesn't really make sense. But instead of going into a whole deep dive on gender roles, I'm going to tell you where my heart stands and what I believe in. And if I ever wrote a book about it, I would call it task efficiency. And so let me explain this for you and your partner, or for just you and yourself to grow. Task efficiency is just the realization or the acceptance of like who would be more efficient at this task. And sometimes size or strength or even comfort level may play a role, but it's not to be associated with gender, just with personality. And I'll dive deeper. In my relationship with Rachel, I would say we use what I call task efficiency. I never look at Rachel and I think because you're a woman, you should do this. Because I'm a man, I should do that. I never think any of that. Sometimes when I get new tools, I'll joke. I'm like, ooh, I'm about to do a dad thing. I'm totally joking. And it's because I didn't have a dad to show me how to use tools. And my mom didn't show me how to use tools either because she didn't really know how. And so there's like a lineage of gender roles that didn't come down to me, right? Or a learned task, which is most people that say they believe in gender roles, really what they're saying is like they want one learned task to be passed down to the same gender for generations to come. Because really, there's women that are using tools in ways that a man never could, and they're super successful, right? And it has nothing to do with their gender. They learn that task from someone, whether it's a man, a woman, whatever. They learn the skill, not the task. They learn the skill and they apply the skill. And so they could be defying gender roles, but not really. They just learn the same skill someone else did, and they just happen to be a woman. And I'm using tools a lot. But anyway, my point is in our relationship, we use task efficiency. And what I mean by that is when we were moving from Los Angeles to Arizona, and I have a fridge, right? That was in my room, and I had to put the fridge in the U-Haul. Well, my friend Riker was there to help us. It's not assumed, because I'm a man, that I would be moving all the boxes and Rachel would be packing all the boxes, because in all actuality, I packed all the boxes and I was moving all the boxes. And the reason why is because I'm most efficient at it. So when it came to moving that fridge, I would never say, hey, Rachel, I'll keep care of Laguna. Why don't you help Riker move the fridge? And it's not that I wouldn't say that to her because I'm the man and I should be expected to get up and do it, regardless of how you feel or anyone feels. It's because I'm stronger than Rachel. And if she tried to help Riker move the fridge, she wouldn't be able to pick it up. No diss at Rachel. She would totally agree with me. She'd be like, yeah, absolutely. I don't have the sheer strength to do that. And so Ricky's going to do that. Why? Because it's the most efficient way to complete the task. And so where this starts to defy gender roles, because you might be like, Ricky, that you're literally just describing gender roles, but giving it a new name. No. A lot of people think that the woman should cook and clean. Well, Rachel breastfeeds Laguna and then puts her down every night. So I do bath time with her. Rachel breastfeeds and puts her down. That's one gender role you'll catch us in. I cannot breastfeed, so Rachel does it. That's absolutely true. Well, during that time, it's most efficient that I cook dinner, right? Because she's got to be locked in the room. It's dark with the sound machine on. She can't be cooking dinner. Even if I worked all day, right? So I'm the person in the relationship that I work a day job, Wednesday through Friday, sometimes Wednesday through Saturday. And so even if I work, it doesn't matter. I don't come home to a hot meal because it's not assumed that the man should go to work and Rachel should be at home cooking and cleaning and doing the laundry. It's most efficient that I go to work because it's a moving job. I move houses. And so it's most efficient because that was the job that was available really to our family because it's a family friend that employs me. So like it was kind of available to us. Of course, I'm not going to send Rachel off to do that job because I'm more efficient at the job. I'm going to be able to do it better. It makes more sense. And you could tell me it's because I'm a man. Really, it's because I'm stronger. And yes, inherently, it's probably because of my size compared to Rachel's. But like in my mom's relationship, for example, her husband, he has a thrown out back, although he's bigger than her in size. She's more useful when it comes to using her strength because her back isn't, knocked out or there's no herniated disc. And so because of that, that's how that relationship works. And because of how we do the nighttime routine, I'm cooking and cleaning. And when I'm done with dinner, you know who does the dishes? Me. And sometimes, obviously, we kind of have this thing in our relationship where it's like, I cooked, you clean. But at nighttime, when we want to go to bed, I do the dishes because I'm better at them. Rachel's the baby of the family. She'll tell you first. She'll be the first one to tell you. A lot of the things, like some of the things that you have to do in a relationship, sometimes she's learning. Her sister took really good care of her. Her sister practically raised her in a lot of ways, or like took care of her from what her family tells me. And so Rachel didn't always have to do like the brunt end of work. And so when it comes to loading the dishwasher, honestly, I don't like the way Rachel does it. And she'll tell you, like, Ricky always says I got to do it some other way. And I've stopped doing that, but I'll go and do the dishwasher because I'm faster at it. And then I might look at Rachel and be like, yo, you wipe down the counters because we're going to complete the task quicker. It's more efficient. And so in your relationship, if you're struggling with gender roles, you can stop struggling with gender roles and you can start to try to utilize task efficiency. And so what I mean by that is you have to open and close doors, right? And so if you think that your wife is supposed to get up and make all the lunches for your kids every day, why the fuck do you think that? Is she better? Is she genuinely better at making the lunches, or do you just not even try and you don't want to find out if you're better and you don't want to put any effort in because you don't want to be caught having to do that? You know what I mean? Have you ever seen like a teenage boy and you tell him like, hey, clean your bathroom, and he cleans the bathroom so shitty that as a parent, you never fucking ask him again? Or maybe you were that teenage boy. And so ask yourself, how is it that you're utilizing your time and the tasks in your house, right? And so if it had to be, hey, cook a steak for dinner tonight, I'm going to hop up and do it. I'm more efficient at that. But if it was, Rachel's a professional dancer, so if someone said, hey, we're going to have a flash mob at the mall and, we're looking for 6-foot tan guys, I'd be like, oh, you know what? I'm not the most efficient for that. And I guess that was probably, I fit the demographic. But you see what I'm saying? Like, hey, your couple has to be a part of it. Could you do it, Ricky? We're looking for more males. I'd be like, well, if you could take a female, Rachel's a professional dancer. She's more efficient at this task. And I think that if you're in a relationship where you find yourself oftentimes just like heeding the call to whatever it is you're supposed to be doing. As a man, if you're supposed to be changing the brakes on the car, but you're working a day job and you got to pick the kids up from school and drop them off at soccer right after that, and then you got to make dinner when you get home, but your wife has absolutely nothing to do that day and she doesn't work, tell her, if she literally doesn't have the knowledge to change the brakes, one, you could teach her, because just because she's a woman doesn't mean she can't learn, and two, she could take your car to go get the brakes done. I see a lot of men say, like, I won't ever let my woman pump the gas. Has Rachel pumped her own gas before? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if she's ever pumped it since she's met me, because if I'm there, I'll get out and do it. But it's not it's not based on gender, and that time it's not based on efficiency either. It's just based on me loving her. But if she did have to hop out and do it because I was in the back changing Laguna's diaper, you better bet your ass she's going to get out and do it, because it's the most efficient way to get something done. And I just think that in the world, we see these gender roles and we see like pay inequality between men and women, and it's like, are they really the most efficient person? Like, I don't know if y'all saw that Quiet on Set thing with Dan Schneider. It's like the Nickelodeon documentary about what a piece of shit like the Hollywood people are to these little kids. And what's funny is there was like women writers in the room, and Dan Schneider would like act like they were less funny than men, or blah 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 blah. It's completely sexist, right? And they ended up quitting, and Dan Schneider ended up being a total piece of shit and the worst one for the job. But Nickelodeon, stood by it for whatever basis or claim that they have. But just a perfect example, those women were probably hilarious. I don't know if y'all saw Tom Brady's roast, but Nikki Glaser, the only woman on the dais, absolutely bodied it. A lot of people say she had the best roast of Tom Brady, and some people would say women are less funny than men, right? And that's a little bit more sexist than it is gender roles, but gender roles is sexist in its ideology to begin with. And so, yeah, I think that to come back to task efficiency, like, me and Rachel just use task efficiency at all times. And quite honestly, when we look at like the blotter of the to-do list for the night, we 100% address like where we can allot ourselves to get everything done on time and still like enjoy each other. And so people ask me oftentimes, how do you and Rachel, how do you have the relationship alive after a kid, or what do you guys do? And I'm like, really, we put a list together and we complete everything on the list, and we never judge each other based on sex. And I don't know, like that's kind of like the start of something. And so if we look at cooking and cleaning and yada, 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 and I'm more efficient at cooking and cleaning and doing the laundry, and I'm going to do all of it because it's most efficient. And quite honestly, I'm most efficient at putting Laguna down. Like, not like Rachel breastfeeds and puts Laguna down, but when it comes time to like rock her to sleep and tap her in her crib, I have a way with it. Like, I do. I have a way with overwhelming Laguna a little bit. And I say overwhelming. I'm going to make a TikTok about what I do with Laguna in the crib. I call it like overwhelming cadence. I have my own name for it, because I just like overwhelm her cries with like my shushes, and it helps. But I'm most efficient, so I might go do that, and this time Rachel will cook. So like, if we look like, oh, I got to cook dinner and you got to put the baby down, if she can't put the baby down off of breastfeeding, I'm going to get sent in the room and she's going to finish cooking. And it has absolutely nothing to do with who's this, who's that. It just has to do with, we want to get all this shit done so we can hang out. Honestly, that's the main motivator for me and Rachel. We want to do everything we have to fucking do so we can lay in bed and look at each other without a baby crying and hang out. And so we're always going to do things the most efficient way. And sometimes it lines up with what you would assume is the role of our genders. And so one time, like a good example of this is if we're heading out, like when we leave this Airbnb, Rachel will probably pack up her stuff and Laguna's, and I'll start breaking down like the stand and play thing she has. I'll get all the groceries together and put them in the cooler. And when it comes time to start loading the things out of the house, I'm going to start taking them. Why? Because Laguna's in a rolling phase where she's going to roll off the bed and she's going to crawl off the edge of the couch, and she could really hurt herself, right? And if she can't be in the standy thing, we call it the standy thing, but the skip hop stand and play thing, because I'm taking that out to the car because it's one of the first things I need to load. So we're going to divide and conquer, and Rachel is going to watch Laguna, not because she's the woman or the mom, but because I'm going to be more efficient at carrying heavy items from one place to another. And so I would never tell you, oh, well, You got to watch the baby. You're the one, you know what I mean? She's the woman. She's got to watch the baby. You got your baby. Like, I never do that shit because I don't believe in that shit. And the biggest testament I had to this is like, I don't, like, you guys see little glimpses of what kind of dad I am, but I'm so involved. Outside of breastfeeding, I'll do fucking anything for my daughter. I mean, I'm changing diapers the same. I'm like, we're very equal parents. And I think the ideology of gender roles almost like negates equal parenting from the jump. Like you almost can't be equal parents and be sexist enough to think gender roles are a thing. Because if that's the case, then you should believe that your woman is the default parent, the main parent. And in this relationship, we're equal parents. It's nothing like that at all. Me and Rachel can both list off everything you need to know about Laguna, whether we're alone, together, it doesn't matter. Like it's we're both as involved. And Rachel, is more comforting because she's genuinely more empathetic than me, and she's genuinely got a more forgiving attitude than me, and she's genuinely sweeter in the tone than me. You could relate that to her being a woman in a separate conversation if you want to do that. But I've known men that are extremely forgiving in their approach of a lot of things. I'm just not. I just happen not to be. And so if you want to be comforted by the bees, I recommend you go to Rachel. But in the same sense, if you want to gossip, I don't know if I should tell you to go with her or me, because we'll both talk that shit. It has nothing to do. I oftentimes I'll be like, obviously I had a single mom, so maybe that's why, but sometimes at like Thanksgiving and shit, you'll catch me at the table with all the ladies chopping it up. Not because I don't want to be in the garage with men talking about brakes, and it's not because I'm not a man, and it's not because I am a man. It's because I don't find any interest in changing brakes and motorcycles and car tires, because I just don't. It has nothing to do with whether I have a penis or vagina. It has to do with my upbringing, which people probably superimposed a gender role on me of, oh, you should like this and you should like that. But what I grew up to be is all on my own. And yeah, so I think when you're navigating your relationship, start to take an approach that has like a task efficiency idea in mind. And also, I'll be the first one to say this. Like, I think a gender role would be stay-at-home mom. I would be a stay-at-home dad in 6 fucking seconds if I could. But right now with Rachel breastfeeding, Rachel doesn't want to pump. I don't blame her. I don't want to put Laguna on formula. We're not big formula people. Nothing against it. We just don't want to do it. And so when it came time to get a job so close to postpartum, which I know carries a lot of emotions, it made more sense for me to go, because when it came to feeding Laguna, I didn't have pump milk because Rachel didn't want to pump. Because if you pump, you probably know why Rachel didn't want to pump. And Rachel started the first 4 months of raising Laguna pumping because Laguna wouldn't latch. And when she finally did, I think it was such a big relief that that's what she wanted to do. And it's been easier for her. And so it was not the man heading off to work so the woman could stay home with the kid, because I would be a stay-home dad in 6 fucking seconds. And quite honestly, hopefully social media in some capacity does make me a stay-home dad, because being with my children, being with Laguna is vitally the most, it's the most vital thing to me. It is, it outweighs all other wants and needs for me. I don't really give a fuck about monetary gain. I really just want enough to pay my simple bills so I could be with my daughter at all times. And I think a gender role naturally would be, oh, man off to work. That's, excelling in his business career. I don't give a fuck about no business career. I do like this podcast and the TikToks and all that shit because I genuinely love helping people. And I get so many DMs like, damn, bro, I was such an unconfident dad until I saw your videos. And I'm like, shout out. Thank God. Like, I'm really glad I could influence you. That's a separate podcast for a separate time. I think to close this one up, I just want to say, try not to look at your woman as things she must do that are woman. Like, she has no tasks that are womanly. She has no expectations that a woman must do. It's simply get to know your partner, get to know their personality, let them get to know you, find out what y'all are both best at. I'm a better talker than Rachel, so I might do a motivational speech. Rachel's way more fucking reasonable than I am. Way more fucking reasonable. So before I did my motivational speech, I'd probably go to Rachel to find out, hey, am I way off the walls by saying this, or way under way under the line by saying this, like, and she would guide me back to center. And that's just because we know each other's personality. If she had a dick in that moment and she, you know, was still more reasonable to me, I'd still go to her. You know, my friend Riker is one of the most comforting people in the world. He's got a soft face. I'll cry with Riker any day. It's not because, you know, if he had a vagina or a dick, it wouldn't really matter to me. He's a comforting person, so I go to him when I need him. Riker's more comforting than my own mom because my mom's tough as nails. Has nothing to do with her gender at all. Has to do with her upbringing. Anyway, task efficiency is it's been useful to us. It's something that we lean on, and it never feels sexist. It never feels targeted. It never feels like a diagnosis. It always just feels like, oh yeah, you are more efficient at that. Oh yeah, I am more efficient at that. Like Laguna, Rachel has a master's degree. I have no fucking degree. So if it had to do with like some collegiate thing, whether or not it seems like the man should be more well-versed in business, if that's like a gender role, I don't even know gender roles. I'm making shit up right now because I literally don't know. Rachel would be more apt to help you and not me. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I just think it's, you know, after sex, I make Rachel a sandwich because I'm better at making sandwiches. I take that back. Rachel makes a really good sandwich, but that's what I mean by task efficiency. It really just is who is the best partner for this job right now. And each of us have our own thing. It has absolutely nothing to do with our sex. And we are not making relationship decisions based on what a woman needs to do and what a man needs to do. We are simply making decisions on who is best fitted for the scenario. And I recommend you do the same. All right. I'm posting every Monday from now on. Next episode will probably be relationship with in-laws, how to navigate it. Not that I'm not really the poster child for that, but I definitely know right answer, wrong answer. So come back next Monday, send the podcast to your friends. Tell everybody, play me while you're in the fucking shower. Play me while you're on a run. Go on a run. Play me in the background while you and your friends play board games. All right? Okay. I'm out. I love you guys.